Here lies the story of the oldest football club in South Africa. Even though football was played in early 1905 at the Transvaal Technical Institute, the introduction of rugby as a sporting code 4 years later resulted in the sport becoming obsolete. Founded in 1921 after a series of illegal friendlies, the SRC would be forced to give in and give the club recognition. In September of the same year, football became an official sports club with the first official league season in 1922. The club would go on to win its first major trophy in 1943, winning the Southern Transvaal First Division. In 1948, the InterVarsity tournament was established and Wits became the first champions as well. Who would have thought that in 1962, this very club would struggle to field enough players for away fixtures that they even had to recruit students at the canteen? Enter Professor Ronnie Schloss, the man who would be tasked with turning the fortunes around. Following his short playing career, he became the father of Wits University Football Club, serving in a number of roles including secretary, administrator and president. The results of putting in the hard work at growing the club meant that just a few years later, Wits FC would field 14 teams in 1967 and 25 the following year, indicating a rapid growth within its structures. Today, we stand solid with multiple divisions from under 6 teams in the Wits Junior Football Club to the senior team setup, where a number of teams are competing in the ABC Motsepe League, the SAB League, the Sasol League and various university tournaments, including other South African Football Association league structures. To paint the picture for us, we speak to former players, coaches, managers of the club as we reflect on some of the memories over the last century. Hello everyone, my name is Lwazi Zikubu. Join me as we journey back through 100 years of the Wits University Football Club and look on to the next century. Yes, indeed, Wits Football Club is turning 100 years old. And before we even look ahead to what the next 100 years is going to bring for the club, we have to look back. And in doing exactly that, we need to speak to the leading authority in what has developed into one of the biggest clubs in the game, not only the South African game or the continental game, but the global game as well, and that is Wits Football Club. So it is an absolute pleasure of mine to introduce the one and only Professor Ronnie Schloss, who joins us now to take us through the journey that went from the struggle for recognition for the football club to some of the highs, the very high highs of winning cup titles as well as winning league titles in the South African football game. Prof, such a pleasure to have you here. We thank you so much for your time. We know that you've got so much information, so much wealth of knowledge to share with us. But let's start in the 60s, the early 60s to be exact. Up until that point, for a number of years, the game of football had struggled for recognition on campus. What needed to change and how did you go about doing it?
I think there were two aspects: the lack of facilities, and the other one was the administration of the club. When I joined the club to play at the under-19 team, the club was in a shambles. And what brought it to a head was the senior team had to go and play Bloemfontein. And in those days you used to catch a train. Yeah. And it was exam time, coming exams. And half the team pulled out.
Because of exams?
Because of exams. And what happened is then we ran around the canteen to find players, anybody who wanted to go to Bloemfontein and play. We didn't worry about registrations or anything like that. And we eventually managed to get, I think it was about 14 players, 13 players together. Caught train to Bloemfontein, played the game, and we were very successful. We lost 15-0.
That's a success.
Some of the guys hadn't played football for years and years. And as a result of that, I thought, we've got to do something better. We can't carry on like this. And I got involved in the administration. I went to the annual general meeting, and I lodged objections, and I got on the committee. And within a year or two, I became the chairman. I took over.